Hi, this is Dee at Aloha Astro. Let's take a look at the forecast that I wrote for the full moon in Aries, which is occurring on October the 13th, 2019. It's a Sunday at 5:08 p.m. Eastern Time. It will be at 20 degrees of Aries, 14 minutes. So the image that I chose is pretty spectacular by a photographer, Chris Burkard, I'm not sure of the exact pronunciation, but this was taken at Joshua Tree National Park, and it shows a fellow by the name of Garrison Rowland, who is actually walking a high line strung between rocks there at this national park. Pretty amazing stuff with the full moon rising right behind. So let's get into this. Full moon in Aries, Sunday, October 13th, intensifies emotions and focuses them toward three cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, and Capricorn, as the moon forms a T-square with the sun in Aries and Saturn conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. Aries is associated with the first house of self, Libra with the seventh house of relationship, and Capricorn with the 10th house of career, authority, and reputation. Finding a balance between those three areas of life can feel like walking a high wire, while the cardinal energy amplifies the personal expectation of perfection and the pressure of achieving success. You will sense what is best for your personal growth, while Jupiter in Sagittarius forms a trine to the moon and a sextile to the sun. Intuition, rather than intellect, is your most reliable guide, while Mercury and Venus in Scorpio receive spiritual support from Neptune in Pisces, and your inner conviction is strengthened by a sextile of Mercury to Saturn. Venus in Scorpio opposing Uranus in Taurus can bring changes in money, values, or sexual attraction that are temporary but can be unsettling. Physical exercise can help you dispel any stress Mars in Libra opposing Chiron in Aries creates, and activities like dance or yoga can bring the mind and body into balance. So let's take a look at Planet Watcher and see what's going on over there. Take a look at what's going on in the heavens right now, and you can see that we've got a lot of busyness. Things are scattered in different places, but the dominating theme here is this T-square in the cardinal signs. And in this particular instance, because we're looking at a full moon, which definitely amplifies emotions and can bring things to a head, and it's very individualized and focused on the self. If you are familiar with your own natal chart and you know your ascendant or rising sign and you know where you have Aries energy, what house or area of life, and where you have Libra energy, what house or area of life, and also where you have Capricorn energy, what house or area of life, it would definitely help if you look to see where this is sitting in your own natal chart. To get an idea of what areas of life are going to be impacted the most, and where you may have to walk literally a very fine line in attempting to balance what your own personal needs are, how you relate to other people, or where you need to consider other people, and what are your aims, what are your goals, what are you hoping to achieve, and what are the rules or the groundwork that you have to work within in order to get to where you want to go. Saturn in particular can bring up issues surrounding commitment and duty and responsibility. Pluto can bring about transformation or destruction, or empowerment or disempowerment, depending upon what your situation is. And for a lot of people, a decision of whether to stay in something or get out of something can come up. It doesn't necessarily mean a personal romantic relationship. It is simply, when you read my forecast, I'm looking at the general areas of life that these three particular signs rule. You may have these planets sitting in entirely different houses than the ones that I mentioned, but you can kind of mix the main issues together with your own houses, and you may find that it still might be how relationships are going on a job, let's say, if this falls in a workhouse for you, or if it has to do with money, perhaps how you are sharing money with somebody else. And it really depends upon the house where it's sitting in, but you definitely would feel tension going on and having to find balance out of that tension and perhaps come to some sort of a conclusion or decision as to which direction to take. And the support here with this grand trine and this kite that is all leading up toward Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, it's showing that your success can be achieved by focusing on what is your purpose or what feels correct to you. Where do you think your destiny or path lies? What could you not live without, basically? Whether it's what somebody else wants out of you or not, that's an entirely different story. But the full moon being in Aries is asking you to look at yourself, and it may make some other people unhappy when you do that. Yet we have a very clear kite here that is pushing your purpose toward a goal, and it's being supported by this grand trine involving Venus and Mercury in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces. And this is where the intuition comes in. And if you feel that you are being given signs or that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, then by all means continue, follow those signs, trust your intuition, go with what feels right, and it will help open up doors. I don't think we ever have a time where we don't have some challenging aspects, and I often see that in natal charts, the challenging aspects are what lead to actual things happening in a person's life, or it leads to their success when they work at their challenging aspects, such as T-squares like we have in the heavens right now. And the easy aspects, like this grand trine and the kite, are not always what people pick up and run with. Very often, because it feels so comfortable or familiar or easy, they slack off or they take it for granted. It could be a natural talent like musical ability or artistic ability, but they don't use it to make a career, where everybody else says, why don't you do this? There's no thrill for somebody when there isn't a challenge. Honestly, in life, for the most part, most of us want to have something to rail against or to overcome or to try to make fit or to make work. And if things are too easy, we tend to just say, oh, well, that's too easy, and we give up and walk away. Having an awareness of the fact that there is a lot of support on an intuitive, spiritual level, while we have a lot of this water and earth guiding us right now to get into the feelings, not so much the thinking and the practicality of things, but what feels good to you? Where are you feeling comfortable and familiar and safe? What feels natural? And go toward that. Work will always be there. There's always going to be something to rail against or struggle or attempt to balance. If you go against what's natural or comfortable because it's exciting or unfamiliar, it is not necessarily going to be what is best for you. And I think that some of the opposition between Venus in Scorpio and Uranus in Taurus, what that is going to give you is a lesson. If you pursue, let's say, a romantic partner who really doesn't fit well in your lifestyle or is not in harmony or compatible with you in some way, but you're excited by them because they are very different from you, it might not be a lasting relationship. You may learn and grow through that relationship and gain something from it, but it may not endure forever. If you're seeking something that's more stable or long-term, perhaps look for the relationships in your life that are more in harmony, or there's greater compatibility, or you feel comfortable and familiar around the person rather than the stimulating, exciting energy of somebody who is distinctly different than you. So that can be some of the lesson there in that opposition. And the opposition going on with the North Node to Pluto and Saturn, I feel that yes, we have to work hard at achieving our goals, but if you persistently find that you're pursuing the wrong thing career-wise and you're not getting ahead, maybe that's a sign to look at that and change and think about your purpose on a soul level and what it is that you are meant to be doing. So one of the things that I do as an astrologer is help people to understand their natal charts and both the challenges in them and the support. And I also focus a great deal on soul purpose, life purpose, which is not always the same as how do you go out and make money or earn a living or what would be the best career. But I do believe it is possible to find within the natal chart, no matter what house your North Node sits in, find a way to integrate the majority of the planets and aspects in your chart toward a career that is going to satisfy your chart, satisfy you, and help you basically run on all your cylinders so that you feel that you are actually on purpose in your life. And even sometimes knowing whether your life purpose, your North Node, is sitting in a house of money or work, well, great, then it's easier to integrate. But if it's sitting in a house that has more to do with, let's say, development of the self or spirituality and opening up to seeking on a spiritual level, then at least you will know and you can direct your energy toward growing in that area of life. So let's take a look at the Sabian symbol for this full moon, and we round up to 21 degrees of Aries. The day before yesterday, I actually chose a picture for the daily forecast of two boxers in a ring. And I, at that time, was not aware of the degree that the full moon would be arriving at, but I was definitely feeling that full moon energy coming in. And interestingly, I discovered that, oh, the full moon is on my own moon. My moon is in Aries, and it's also at this Sabian symbol. So I'm very familiar with this symbol because I've, picked apart my own chart and looked at the Sabian symbol for all my placements. So this definitely speaks to me, and I'm sure it will speak to other people who are feeling the energy of the moon. This is a very strong full moon because of that Aries I am energy. So people are more tuned in to thinking about who they are and more aware perhaps of that I am power in their words when they say I am whatever. So Phase 21, Aries 21 degrees, a pugilist enters the ring. Keynote, the release and glorification of social aggressiveness. Here we find potency glorified as muscular strength and will to power. Because it is potency operating at a harshly competitive level, it can and often does imply the possibility of defeat or disfiguration. In one sense, the symbol translates into social terms the primordial struggle for survival of the fittest, adding to it an eagerness for social fame and social power, i.e. money. In another sense, the ring with two fighters in it can be referred to the Tai Chi symbol and the interplay between yang and yin. Each of the two types of energy wins in turn. Victory is always temporary in a dualistic world. This one sentence really struck me, and that is so true. Everything in the moment is, but each moment passes, and we only have the present moment, which is something that I think that Aries really also tunes us into, is the awareness of the present and now. And with this T-square, which does bring up conflictual energy, what is it that you are fighting for, and how important is it really to fight? How important is that power to you, or that success, or is it worth the fight? Is it worth maybe alienating other people? And if you gain something out of it, how long are you going to be able to hold that or maintain it? And do you want to be in that stance of opposition, of competition? Is it something that you want to remain in, or do you want to seek unity out of that energy? So this is the first stage of the fifth fivefold sequence of cyclic phases. Potency and the twofold possibilities inherent in any release of power are seen operating at the socio-cultural and emotional level. The symbol reveals man's deeply rooted feeling of admiration and envy for whoever can generate overwhelming power. Our T-square definitely directs the energy of the moon and the sun, which are in opposition right now, which is masculine and feminine in nature, and they are the lights that are reflecting and mirroring. And the Aries Libra axis is always about the mirroring of the self and the other, and they are directed toward the strength and the power of Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, and Capricorn rules that 10th house of a chart, the midheaven, the highest expression. A lot of work can come out of this T-square and this full moon. Some relationships may deepen, some may break. You may really look deeply at yourself and what your expectations are, and maybe find greater strength within yourself so that you are not placing so much expectation upon others, and working in compromise and harmony with others toward a shared goal would ultimately be the best use of this T-square. So, any other last words in here? Not really. Jupiter is very well supported, and it's adding energy to the moon and the sun, which tells me that no matter what kind of conflict or challenge there is in here, whether it's a make or break situation, that Jupiter is saying it's all going to be good, or it's all okay, or you will figure out what's best for you. You will take the actions that are best for both people or the larger group or organization, or basically, in making a choice, growth might be the option. Are you growing or are you stagnating? Because Jupiter requires growth. It's a planet of growth and optimism and abundance, and it's in a seeking sign that wants to travel, explore, gain knowledge, meet people from other walks of life, take a risk or a chance, be entrepreneurial. That's all Sagittarius energy, the higher ideals and seeking. So seek growth when it comes to making your decisions that have to do with this T-square, and trust your intuition. All right. If anybody wants to work with me, or if you want to follow the daily forecast, you can find me here at alohaastro.com. You can follow me at any of these social media sites where I cross-post my daily forecast every day. And if you are interested in scheduling with me, just hit that schedule appointment button and you'll see my availability. Everybody take care, be safe, watch the temper with this Aries moon. It can be hot-headed, and get out there and be physical and exercise if you find the stress to be too much, or if you're getting a headache. If you're getting a headache, it's a sign that something's needing some release and you're looking for a breakthrough. So get out there and move energy physically.